Okay. So the subcontracts are the contracts between a prime contractor and the secondary contractor or suppliers. Okay. So that means when a contractor who is, when a main contractor, that is, we normally call them as the general contractor or the prime contractor, that contractor is awarded the contract, then that contractor wants to perform some specific works for which some other contractors has this specialty, then that prime contractor then contracts out that work to some other contractors. Or they may be the other contractors, or they may be some suppliers as well. So suppliers are also in those categories. So it is widely used in building construction for the installation of electrical, plumbing, and heating and ventilating systems. Okay. So heating and ventilating system, plumbing and electrical are one of the most common examples in the building construction industry. The reason is because most of the general contractors for in the building industry are from the civil engineering background. However, the other works such as the plumbing, electrical, heating and ventilation needs some different kind of background, maybe from mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. So therefore, some other type of background people are needed. So there are some specialty contractors for these disciplines. Remember that for in the subcontracting is not just between the contractor and a subcontractor. It is not just the contract with the contractor and the subcontractor, but a subcontractor may have a further contract with some other subcontractor as well on very large projects. So there can be multiple tiers of subcontracting in. There can be some multiple tiers of subcontracting in the building industry as well. Okay, so not just one tier, multiple stage. The contractual arrangement between the prime contractor and the subcontractors are similar to those between the owner and the prime contractor. So the main contract in the construction project is between the owner and the contractor. So the arrangements are almost similar between the prime contractor and the subcontractor as those were in the owner and the prime contractor. The subcontractors are responsible only to the prime contractor in the performance of their subcontract. So that means when the subcontractor is working on the construction project, they report their work to the main contractor. They do not report their work to the directly to the owner. It is the main contractor or the prime contractor who will report their work or their subcontractors' works to the owner. It is obvious because the contract is between the prime contractor and the subcontractor, not between the subcontractor and the owner. So can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. The next point is it is essential that the prime contractor obtains timely and competitive prices for subcontract services. Yeah, of course, timely obtaining the prices is very important. As you can see that it is a very complex problem. It is also time-consuming process to get the prices from the subcontractor for their services as well, because everyone may be busy in their different projects. So the situation is not that simple. So timely completion or management of all the tasks, just like in every project, is very essential. The successful prime subcontractor should execute contracts with those subcontractors whose prices have been used for presentation of the bid. Yes, this is a very important point. And then one ethical issue also comes with that. Remember that there is this prime contractor, okay? There is this prime contractor, and then there is the owner. So the main contract is between the owner and the prime contractor. The main contract is between the owner and the prime contractor, okay? So when the prime contractor submits the bid, when submitting the bid, the prime contractor may have contacted some potential subcontractors, okay? And those subcontractors may have provided them some prices. And then based on those prices, the owner, the prime contractor may have submitted the bids. However, so therefore, the prime, as a matter of ethics, the prime contractor should only execute the contracts with those subcontractors whose prices have been used for the preparation of the bid. That means, if, for example, on the other hand, if you use the prices of some subcontractors, and then later on, after starting the project, you do not employ or you do not execute the contracts with those subcontractors, then it will be an unethical practice. So this unethical practice is called as the bid shopping. However, after receiving the contract award, some contractors attempt to obtain lower subcontract prices by negotiating with other subcontractors. So the contractors will think that, okay, no, earlier the prices which I got from the subcontractors were too high. Then maybe I can get some lower prices. So they try to obtain the lower subcontract prices, which may even, I think, affect the quality of the project as well. So this practice is referred to as bid shopping and is widely considered as unethical practice, which leads to poor subcontractor performance. Okay, so this bid shopping, this is how the bid shopping is described. So as a result, a bidding procedure procedures often require the bidder to identify subcontractors at the time of bidding and to use only those subcontractors on the project. So therefore, in order to avoid this type of situations, so many bidding documents say that, okay, you should also name those subcontractors whose prices will be included into the project, so that later on the contractor may not change those subcontractors. Okay.
Professor, I have a question.
Yes.
My question is, where is commonly this type of bid shopping happens, in government or in private companies?
It can happen in anywhere. So for example, if during the bidding if during the bidding process, if it is not mentioned that whose prices have been included or who are the potential subcontractors, then it can happen. Then the main contractor can change his mind and then try to employ some other subcontractors whose prices may be low, or maybe their quality may not be also high as well. So it can happen anytime. So in order to avoid this situation, maybe such kind of clause in the bidding documents will be included, that you have to name the subcontractors also whose bids will be included into the subcontractors. So generally, if it is difficult in the public sector projects, that means the government projects, because in the government projects, more transparency is needed for awarding the contracts. In the private sector projects, generally it is also, it can be maybe the private owner may be even more strict in that situation as well. So anyway, it all depends on the whether they name the subcontractors in the bidding or not. So, but it can happen in any type of projects. Or in where it happens. So it is just the question of finding in which type of project it's happened. So maybe there is some kind of research in this case. So it also may depend on different countries. So in some countries, there is high degree of transparency in the awarding of the contracts. In some other countries, there is not a much high degree of transparency in awarding the projects. So where there is more corruption in those countries, in those situations, this type of bid shopping practice may happen more than in those countries where there may be less corruption.
Yes, Professor, but for example, for private sector, yes, when owner hires some prime contractor, in any case, he will pay to the prime contractor for the whole project. And why? So for the whole project, and owner shouldn't worry about how prime contractor will work with subcontractors. Or
yes, owner generally should not worry, because the owner's contract is with the contractor. However, if the main contractor changes the subcontractors later on, and that change will be most likely be for obtaining the lower prices from the subcontractors, and the lower prices from the subcontractors will generally also lead to the lower quality as well. So that is unethical.
So on the first stage, stage when we are talking about this preparation of the bid, the prime contractor creates some kind of like prices, which will be demonstrated to the owner, and then prime contractor can try to in order he will try to do like bid shopping. He will try to reduce the prices of subcontractors. Yes.
Yes.
This it happens.
Yes. Yes.
But in that case, yes, owner in any way will not be able to change the price, like the contract with a prime contractor, because
yes, the contractor for if the contract is for a fixed price, okay, so the contractor will get a fixed amount of money, okay, from the owner. But on the other hand, if the contractor for saving some of the costs goes to some cheaper subcontractors, the contractor will save some money by going to some cheaper contractors. So in that way, the contractor can increase his profit. However, in that situation, by increasing his profits, he may be going for a lower quality subcontractor.
Yeah. Okay, I think now I get how it works. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good. Thank you for the question. Next is okay. So that was the subcontract. Some government agencies go even so far as to award separate contracts for general construction and for each area of the specialty work. So another way to safeguard this type of situation is that they can provide separate contracts. So that means for the civil works, you can provide the contracts to civil engineering specialty general contractors. For plumbing works, you can award a contractor to the plumbing subcontractors, and etc. However, in this type of situation, there will be a greater headache for the owner to manage the works of various subcontractors. So while protecting the subcontractors, such a procedure greatly complicates the project control and coordination. Since in this case, there will be several contracts between the owner and the contractor. So owner and the contractor 1, owner and the contractor 2, owner and the contractor 3, etc. So this will be a different type of arrangement. So it will greatly complicate the project control and the coordination. So therefore, from the owner's perspective, this may lead to some maybe some cost saving in some cases, or it may not also lead to the cost savings, because on the other hand, the project control and coordination will be quite low. Of course, to safeguard these kind of situations, there are other contractual arrangements as well, such as just the construction management type of situation, construction management type of contracts as well. Okay, so one area for the subcontract, avoiding the subcontract shop bid shopping is to name the subcontractors in the bid documents, or to have the multiple subcontracts. But of course, that having a multiple subcontracts will complicate the project control and coordination. Okay, so now let's talk about these different conditions in the contracts. So a contract will have certain elements. There will be several types of contracts. We will also discuss about the contract documents, plans, specifications, drawings, etc. And we will also talk about the contracting time. So what are the contracting elements? So the legally essential elements of a construction contract include an offer, an acceptance, and a consideration. Okay, so these are the so let me mark it. So these are the specific terms. Okay, offer, acceptance, and consideration. Okay, so we will describe the meaning of these terms one by one. Okay, so what is an offer, what is an acceptance, and what is a consideration? So these three terms form the elements of the contract. So the offer, what is an offer? Offer is normally a bid or proposal submitted by a contractor to build a certain facility according to the plans, specifications, conditions, and conditions set forth by the owner. So the owner will create first of all in a very traditional manner. In a very we are not talking about the design, build, or the construction management type of contract. We are talking about a traditional design, bid, build type of project. So in a traditional case, the owner will first create the plans, specifications, and the conditions for the project. So that of course will be created by the architect or the engineering firm. They will create the plans, specifications, and the conditions for the contractor. So there will be some sort of documents. Those sort of documents will be provided to the potential contractors or the potential bidders. So the bidders will then submit a bid. Okay. So that submission of the bid is basically an offer, okay, by the contractor. So this is the definition of the offer. So the offer is submission of the bid by the contractor, which is based on the plans, specifications, and the conditions set forth by the owner. So the second term, the acceptance, takes the form of the notice of an award. So of course, after the submission of the bid, then the bids are evaluated, and the bids are evaluated, and the successful bidder is decided. So when the successful bidder is decided, and then a notice of award is issued to the successful bidder, so that is called the acceptance. So acceptance is the issuing of the notice of the award to the successful bidder. And on the other hand, what is consideration? Consideration usually takes the form of cash payment, but it may legally be anything of value. That means when the contractor performs the work, and in return of that work, the owner pays to the contractor some cash, or the value for the work which has been performed. So then that consideration element of the contract takes place. Okay. Then that consideration element takes place. So the consideration is usually takes the form of cash payment, but it may legally be anything of value. So something of value, cash or whatever. Okay. So that is the consideration. So these were the three elements: offer, acceptance, and the consideration. So there is just a brief introduction of that. Of course, in a construction contracting course, there will be some more detailed about what are these offer, acceptance, and the consideration, but only the definition is sufficient for this course over here. So now let's talk about the types of contracts. So we can classify the contracts in more than one way, several ways. One of the way, or two principal ways, can be described here in this lecture for the classification. One is by the method of the award, by which method the contract has been awarded, and the other is by the method of pricing. Okay, so two types of contracts may be based on the two dimensions: by the method of the award, and by the method of the pricing. So the types of contract by the method of award are formally advertised contracts and the negotiated contracts. So two types. So formally advertised contracts or the negotiated contracts. I think something about this has been also mentioned before. The formally advertised contracts are those in which you put an advertisement for the project, and then you invite several contractors to bid for those projects. So those contractors means sometimes also be the pre-qualified contractors. So this will be an open competition. In the formally advertised contract. Or in another situation, and mostly it is for the private contractors. Okay, private owners, private clients or the owners. Okay, it will be for the private clients or the owners. They do the negotiated contracts because in the private contract, clients are not bound by the conditions for the taxpayers' money, because their money or the capital is their own capital. So they can have the negotiated contract. So they can approach with some very famous construction company, and then they can try to persuade them to work on their project. And in that way, they can negotiate the prices at their desired values. So these are the two types of contracts by the method of the award: advertised and the negotiated contracts. The advertised contracts are mostly for the government contracts, okay, for the government sector. Because here the public money is involved, taxpayers' money is involved. So you cannot just approach your contractor of your liking and then negotiate the contract with them. It is not that easy. So therefore, you have to have an open competition. Okay, just like in the advertised contract. So these are the two types of contracts. So a negotiated contract, as the name implies, is one negotiated between an owner and a construction firm. So as it is very clear that it is a negotiated contract between the owner and the construction firms. All terms and conditions of the final contract are those mutually agreed to by the two parties. So this is a general condition for the contract, that of course the contract can only take place when two parties into the contract mutually agree to the terms. Formally advertised competitive bidding as the normal process Negotiated contracts are permitted under special circumstances. So in most of the cases, the contracts are formally advertised competitive bidding contracts. Okay, but negotiated contracts are also not also quite common, and they are permitted under these special circumstances as well. And especially as we have said that in the private clients, these contracts are.
Professor, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Please again repeat. What does mean formally advertised and negotiated?
As I have said, that formally advertised contracts are those contracts in which you have you invite several people. Okay, so you have this owner, and then you have several contractor you can ask. Okay, so that means the advertisement is placed in the public. Okay, so anyone can reply to that advertisement. Okay, whereas in the negotiated, you just approach to some specific contractor. Okay, so owner, and then you approach to some specific contractor, and then try to negotiate the price with them. That is the only difference.
Okay, thank you.
Professor, could I clarify one moment? It's in the
Yes.
slide. In the previous slide, could you turn back?
Previous slide.
When we said about the consideration that it's not only cash payment, but anything of value, what example did you give on the anything of value? What did you meant by that?
For example, instead of cash payment, you may, because normally it is, of course, the cash payment. So for example, when a contractor performs the work, for the owner, and then say that the contract price is $100,000. Okay, so at the end of the contract, at the end of the project, the contractor would at the end of the contract, the contractor would expect that he would have received that $100,000 from the owner. So that is the cash payment. However, if the contractor has worked for the owner on the project, and the owner is very much satisfied with the contractor, then it is also likely that the owner would also give them further contracts for the future one. So that anything of value, that may be the goodwill. Okay, it may be the goodwill, or it may be also a better reference for future work. So for example, the contractor can use the reference from the owner for the future works, for some other contracts as well. So anything of value. So this means the value is not only in terms of the monetary terms, but also in the non-monetary terms, monetary terms as well. So,
Thank you. And it comes in addition to cash payments, yes?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Professor, can we think that some construction like machinery can be some kind of type of payment, like after the work, maybe contractor will receive some kind of maybe cars, trucks?
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah, it can be
So
also, yeah.
It can be legally, yes, in
yeah,
the
it can, yeah, I think maybe I just missed that point, yeah. So it can be cash and plus or maybe some asset. Okay, yeah, it can be some asset as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so for example, in the form of some machinery, some equipment, or yeah, it's like that.
okay.
Okay, and and you can also relate it with some other types of projects. So for example, that if we talk about the consideration, although this is something like we're not talking about over here, there can be some build, operate, transfer type of projects as well. So in which the contractor will build it. So that means contractor will build the project. And after that, the contractor will also operate the project. And then after some time that the contractor will transfer the project to the client. So so in this case, the consideration from the owner will be in the form of the project itself. So for example, a tolled highway, okay? A tolled highway. So the government will say that, okay, this is the contractor. That means a very reputable international construction company will come here. They will build this maybe 500-kilometer long highway. Okay, so that construction company will build that highway. They will operate that highway for say maybe 20 years. So during that 20 years, that company will collect that tolls on that highway. And then after that 20 years, they will transfer the operation of that highway to the government. So in that situation, the consideration is taking place in the form of the asset itself. Okay, so this is also one kind of the consideration. But of course, it's a more advanced level of example. Okay, got it? Yeah, so this is the build, operate, transfer type of project. Okay, the one example which I have given to you. Okay, so let's move more to the contract types with respect to the pricing later maybe. The private owners may of course award a contract in whatever manner they choose. So private owners have no such compulsion for the pressure of the public money, because the capital will be their own capital, so they can award the contractor in whatever manner they choose. So the two types of contract by the method of pricing are fixed price contracts and the cost type of contract. So two main types. These are the two main types. So one type of contract is the fixed price contract, and the other is called as the cost type contract. Okay, so what is the fixed type of contracts? And of course, in the fixed price contract and also the cost type contracts, there are certain variations, okay, as well. So let's call these variations. So there are two principal forms of the fixed price contracts. So even the fixed price contracts have two further principal forms. One is the firm fixed price contract and a fixed price with escalation contracts. So here we can see that the name is the name of these contracts: firm fixed price and the fixed price with escalation. These names just give us the indication of what these contracts are. So other classifications of the fixed price contracts include lump sum contract and unit price contracts. Okay, and a lump sum contract provides a specified payment for completion of the work described in the contract documents. Okay, so that is called as the lump sum contract. That means if the contractor estimates that it will cost something like $100,000 for the contract, and then after the completion of the work, the owner will pay this much amount. So that will be a lump sum contract. Okay. The unit price contracts specify the amount to be paid for each unit of the work, but not the total contract amount. So a unit price contract is also a kind of like fixed price contract, but in this case situation, the prices for the different units of the work are paid, for different units of the work are paid, but we do not know the total contract amount. The reason is that for these types of contracts, it is not exactly known how much the quantities of the works will be involved. So for example, in the unit price contract, for example, where is this? Unit price contract. Okay, so the unit price contract is normally performed when the exact quantities of the work are not involved. So if it is an excavation contract, so excavation of a large construction site, so we do not know the exact quantity of excavation. Exact quantity is not known, is unknown. Only the estimates are known, but not the exact quantity is known. So in those situations, the contractor, the owner will will do the unit price contract. So the contractors will bid for that project, and they will say that they will charge like maybe $1.5 per cubic meter of excavation. Okay. They will charge like $1.5 per cubic meter of the excavation. Or they may say that, okay, if the excavation depth is between 1 to 5 meters, they will charge like $1 per cubic meter. Okay, $1 per cubic meter. Or if the excavation depth is more than 5 meters, they will charge like $1.5 per cubic meter. So various types of rates or the unit prices may be quoted, but the quantity will be not known, exact quantity, because excavation works, how much we will have to excavate it, because at some places they may need more excavation, the site may not be uniform, may not be leveled. So the exact quantities are not known. So for those types of contracts, unit price contracts are performed. So due to that reason, unit price contracts are normally performed for the highway works. Okay, highway works, dams. Okay, most of the civil works involve the unit price contracts, because many of those quantities are just the rough estimates. Exact quantities are not. Whereas the lump sum contracts, as we previously described, which is one form of the firm fixed price contract, are normally performed for the are normally done for the building works, because in those situations, building works, the quantities are known. Okay, so we know that this much quantity of concrete we will need, this much quantity of steel we will need, this many number of doors and windows we will need. So it is easier to estimate those quantities. So therefore, normally for those building types of building projects, we have the lump sum type of contracts. So as far as the firm fixed price and the firm fixed price with escalation contracts, so there may be the firm fixed price are basically the same as the lump sum contracts. Okay, lump sum contracts. That means in this case, firm fixed price means that in any case, the owner will not pay more than the certain amount which has been already agreed. Okay, but when a firm fixed price with some escalation contracts, there may be a possibility that the prices of the contracts may be changed based on the change in the prices of the materials and services. Okay, so in those situations there may be a possibility. So the Fixed price contracts with the escalation contracts are normally done in those situations when the project is for relatively longer duration, and when there is a tendency of changing of the prices in a country is too much, when the prices of the materials and the services are changing or increasing, or the inflation is taking place quite a lot in some certain countries. So in those situations, some fixed price contract with the escalation contracts can be also performed. But the firm fixed price contracts are performed in relatively stable environments when the project duration is also not too long, like maybe not more than maybe 1 year, 1.5 years. So a firm fixed price contract is built. Okay, so these are the different types of contracts, firm price contracts. So we have talked about the unit price contract. So unit price contract is also, we can call it as a fixed price contract, although we do not know the exact quantity of the price, but we know the prices of the units of the works. Then we can call them as the unit price contracts. And unit price contracts are performed normally for the civil and heavy construction works. So such contracts are used when the quantities of the work cannot be accurately estimated in advance. So this is what I have just explained. The principal disadvantage of unit price contracts are the requirement for accurately measuring the work actually performed, and the fact that the precise contract cost is not known until the project is completed. So I think these unit price contracts are in some way, they are problematic, okay? For example, once you are performing the work, okay, the contractor may say that, okay, I have performed 1,000 cubic meter of excavation. However, the owner must certify that whether exactly that 1,000 cubic meter of excavation has been performed, or the contractor is just lying, okay? So there may be a disagreement on the quantity of the work performed as well. And also on the other hand, in the end, we also do not know that what will be the overall cost of the project. So therefore, these types of contracts are problematic, but however, there is no better situation as well. And due to those reasons, many of those infrastructure projects, highway, dams, and many of these civil and very large scale mega projects are almost always go over budget. Okay, so for example, if we initially it was estimated that this dam will be completed, this hydroelectric power dam will be completed for $2 billion. Okay, $2 billion. But in the end, when the dam is normally completed, the cost may even go higher than, say, even $4 billion. So the cost increase in those kinds of projects is quite normal. So out of these, there are, of course, this is a unit, having the unit price contracts is not just one of the reasons. Of course, there are several other reasons as well, for which therefore a lot of research has been already been done. But having a unit price of contracts and have not knowing the exact quantities of the work in advance is also one of the reason for such kinds of contracts. Then a combination of the lump sum and the unit price provision may be used in a single contract. So yeah, of course, this is also a possibility. So with even in a building project, or there may be, or even in a highway projects, there may be portions of the work for which it is easier to calculate the cost of that portion of the work. So for example, if even in a highway project, most of the work, the quantities may not be known, but for the highway projects, there may be some toll plazas, there may be some management offices, etc. There may be some small building related works may be also involved. So for those works can be contracted, can be priced out with the lump sum contracts as well. And similarly, inside of the building project, some of the works may be priced out as a unit price contracts as well. So combinations of both are also possible. So there is nothing like everything is unit price or everything is a lump sum for every situation. So every type of situation can exist. Okay. The fixed price with escalation contracts. Okay, so this is what I described before. Fixed price with escalation contracts contain a provision whereby the contract value is adjusted according to a specified price index. So here we talk about the price index. So price index is, what is a price index? Price index is an index which tells that how the prices are changing with respect to time. So the contractor may have a fixed price contract, but with the escalation clause that if in the future the prices of certain items in the work may increase, we may have also their price indexes. So therefore the prices of these items of the work may be adjusted. So for example, if if in a long-term project, so for example, the supply of certain types of windows in the building project is needed, but in the future we may say that due to the changes in the price and the windows are also being imported from overseas, the prices of those windows are changing or maybe they are increasing. So therefore the price of that contract may be adjusted. So this is called as the escalation. Okay, that means escalation. So normally the escalation contracts is provided and then most of the cases the prices are increased. It's of course the prices may even decrease as well, but of course it seldom happens. Then we have the such contracts reduce the risk to the contractor during the periods of rapid inflation. So during the period of rapid inflation. So now talking about the risk, okay. So we have the fixed price contract. We have the fixed price contract and we have the so in the fixed price contract, so we have the risk for the contractor and the owner. So for example, the risk for the fixed price contract, the risk lies with the owner, with the contractor, okay? Because if, for example, the price of the contract, if the cost of the project increases, but the contractor will only get a fixed price, okay? So the risk is with the owner. However, if this is the fixed with escalation, fixed plus escalation, so maybe the sum of the risk also transfers to the owner as well. So for example, if the risk level is, say, I can represent in the fixed price contract with a double arrow, so some of the risks then transfer to the owner as well. So in this case, the owner takes the responsibility for the increase in the prices and then pays to the contractor the increase in the prices of the items which are linked with the price indexes. Okay, so these were the this is some talk about the risk. Since the alternative during the periods of rapid inflation is for the contractor to add a large contingency amount for protection, the use of an escalation clause may well result in a lower cost to the owner than would a firm fixed price contract. So this is another important point over here. Well, sometimes it is not, the situation is not ideal for the contractor. So for example, the contractor is asked to bid for a firm fixed price contract, okay, firm fixed price contract. However, that project, there may be a large chance that the prices may increase. So in this case, the contractor may foresee that the prices will increase in the future. So if in these situations, if the contractor is forced to bid for a firm fixed price contract, the contractor will include a lot of amount for the contingency. So that means contingency means a lot of extra amount that will increase. That means the contractor will say that we need, there is a lot of risk involved in this project, so therefore it will include a lot of amount for meeting that risk. So therefore the contractor's bid will be much higher in that situation. Okay, so in that situation, if the owner can have the fixed price with the escalation clause into the contract, the owner may get a slightly, an appreciably lower amount of the fixed price contract compared with then the owner, if the owner will insist in the firm fixed price contract. So therefore, to avoid unnecessarily unreasonably large amount of contingency in the project, contingency costs in the project, the owner may better choose the fixed price with the escalation clause in the project. That means, so because these contingency may or may not happen, okay? But in any case, if it is the firm fixed price contract, in those situations, if those contingency do not happen, then the owner will be unnecessarily paying a large amount to the contractor in those situations. So therefore, it is in that situation, the fixed price contract with the escalation clause may be a better option for the owner. Is it okay? The point? Okay, so these were the two fixed price contracts. Now let's move to the cost type of contracts. Remember that by the pricing, there were two types of contracts: firm fixed price, and under this firm fixed price, we looked at the lump sum, the unit price, fixed price with escalation, etc. But on the other hand, there are totally different types of contracts. These are called as the cost type contracts or cost plus contracts. Okay, and these contracts are fundamentally different from the firm fixed price contracts. So these contracts are based on the following. So there are some of these following forms of this. So in the cost plus percentage of the cost contract. So the cost plus percentage of the, so in this case, what happens is that the owner agrees to pay to the contractor for the cost, and then some percentage of that cost to the contractor. So in this case, the owner takes all the risk. Okay, so cost plus percentage contract, the owner takes all the risk. That means there is no incentive for the contractor to reduce the cost. So the contractor will say that, okay, the cost of on the project should be higher and higher, and then if the cost on the project will be higher and higher, he will get the higher amount of profit, and because his profit will be based on the percentage of the cost. So therefore, in this case, the owner takes all the risk in this case. So these types of contracts are maybe not very suitable for the owner in such situations, as the cost and the owner may need to pay high amount. Then on the slightly on the lower scale, there is the cost plus fixed fee. Well, in this type of contract, the owner will pay for the cost and plus a fixed amount of fee. So for example, in the previous case, in one case, if the cost was $100,000 and the percentage fee was 5%, okay, so the owner will pay $100,000 plus 5% of that 5,000. So the owner will pay 100,000 and 105,000. Okay, so the owner will pay 105,000. Okay. In the cost plus fixed fee, if the cost is say 100,000 and the fixed fee is say 5,000. Okay, the fixed fee is say 5,000. So the owner will pay 105,000. Of course, same in those situations. But in the first case, if the cost was 110,000, okay, and the fee is 5%, so the fee amount will be how much? 5% of 110,000 will be 5,200, right? So the owner will pay in that case will be 105,200, right? 5,000 of 110,000 is what is 5,000 of 100? Huh?
I think we should add this not
Yeah,
100.
5,250. Okay, 5,200, right? 5% of 110,000 is 5,250. So it will be 105,000. So the owner will pay 105,250. But in this case, cost plus fixed fee, if the cost will be 110,000, but the owner will still pay 5,000. So the owner will pay then 110,000 plus 5,000, 115,000. Yeah, 115,000. So it will be 110,000 plus 5,000. That will be, yeah, I think this is, I made some mistake in the calculation. So it will be 110,000 plus, let me use the calculator. Okay. I'm using the calculator. So it was 110,000. Its 5% is 0.05. So it is 5,500. Okay, 5,500. I made the mistake in the calculation. So it is, yeah, here. 110,000, 5% is 5,500. So the owner will pay how much? 110,000 plus 5,500. So 110,000 plus 5,500. 110,000. So the owner will pay 115,500. 115,500. 115,500. So in this case, you can see that cost plus percentage of cost, the owner will need to pay 500 more compared with the cost plus fixed fee. Although the cost has increased, but the owner is only paying 5,000 fee. Okay. But here in this case, in the first case, the owner is paying 5,500 fee. So the risk is little bit decreased, but still there is no incentive for the contractor to decrease the cost. So therefore, so if we can say that cost plus fixed fee, so the risk is still with the owner, but maybe this one like this. Okay, so if these are the two full arrows, this may be like one full arrow, then one small arrow. Okay, and then maybe no risk to the contractor in this case. There is another one, another variation, cost plus fixed fee with guaranteed maximum cost. So there is this gradual improvement with that. So in this case, it is same as the cost plus fixed fee, but the contractor will give the guarantee that the cost the contractor will give the guarantee that the cost will not increase more than the certain amount. Okay, so in this case, for example, if the original contract is for $100,000 and then the fixed fee is say 5,000. Okay, the contractor will give the guarantee that the cost will not increase to say maybe more than $120,000. Okay, so if in that situation, if the cost increases more than $120,000, the owner will only pay the maximum $120,000 and then plus the fixed fee. Okay, so suppose if the cost in that situation, if the cost is say $112,000. Okay, so the contractor will pay 112 plus 5,000, that will be 117,000. Okay, but in another situation, if the cost increases to $125,000, okay, but in that situation, the contractor will pay only the maximum 120,000. Okay, 120,000 and plus the fixed fee, that is 5,000. So the contractor will only pay $125,000. So in this case, the contractor will lose all their profit because they will not getting any profit. They will be, whatever they will spend, $125,000, they will be only getting that, and then all the cost increase will be covered by the contractor. So this is called as the cost plus fixed fee with the guaranteed maximum price. So in the cost plus fixed fee in the guaranteed maximum price, that is in the if I have say that it is a GMP project. So in the GMP, in the guaranteed maximum price, cost plus fixed fee, so the contractor and the owner share the risk. So the contractor may be this much, the owner may be this much. They will share the risk. Then there is the cost plus incentive fee. So this is another one as well. Yeah, this is more detailed. So in the incentive fee is that in this type of contract, the contractor is given an incentive for the cost saving. Okay, so the incentive fee may be like 50-50, 80-20, whatever will be the case. Okay, let's take just the example of the 50-50 incentive fee. So for example, in the if it is the cost plus incentive fee, if the originally it was estimated that the contract is say for $100,000, and if it is a fixed fee contract, so that means it is 5,000 fixed fee, 100,000 and then 5,000. So in that situation, if the contractor is given an incentive, so if the contractor is given an incentive that if the contractor completes the project at a lower cost, so for example, $90,000, right? So in this case, the cost saving is $10,000. So the contractor is given the incentive that whatever the cost saving they will perform, you will get the half of that amount. So in this case, the cost saving is 10,000, right? So the contractor will get half of that amount. So in this case, in the end, what the owner will pay is 90,000 plus the original fixed fee and plus 5,000 for the cost saving. So in that case, the owner will pay $100,000. Okay, so you can see that the originally, if this contract was not there, the owner will pay $105,000. But in that case, due to some incentive, the owner was able to pay only $100,000. So the owner saved $5,000. And on the other hand, the contractor also got 5,000 more because the cost was 90,000 plus 5,000. The contractor should have got like $95,000, but the contractor got $100,000. So therefore, this is the cost plus incentive fee. But the cost plus incentive fee is also for the sharing of the risks as well. So for example, in that situation, if there is a cost overrun, say instead of $100,000, the cost is $110,000. So in that situation, the contractor will be also be sharing the cost increase as well. So that means that the increase $10,000 will not only be borne by the contractor, but also by the owner as well. So therefore, this type of contract provides an incentive to the contractor to reduce the cost. Okay. So, so this is the cost plus incentive fee. So the cost plus incentive fee. So I think both contractor and the owner share the cost. But I think this is only in this incentive fee contract, the contractor has the incentive to reduce the cost. Okay, so next is so I think the next is just the explanation of that. So the cost plus percentage fee contract, as this is just the explanation which I have just described. So a cost plus percentage of cost contract pays the contractor a fee that is percentage of the project's actual cost. So the type of contract may not be used on by government agencies. This type of contract may not be used by the government agencies because it provides a negative incentive for the contractor to reduce the project cost. Because there is no incentive for the contractor to reduce the cost. If the contractor will do the work at higher cost, the contractor will get the higher profit. So there is no incentive for the contractor to reduce the cost. That is, the higher the project cost, the greater the contractor's fee. The most widely used form of cost reimbursement contract, the cost plus fixed fee contract, does not reward the contractor for an increased project cost, but still fails to provide any incentive to minimize the cost. So in the second type, when the cost plus fixed fee, the contractor will not get higher amount, higher fee for increasing the cost, but it either does not asks the contractor to decrease the cost. So the contractor will not care whether the cost increases or decreases. The contractor is in any case will get the fixed fee. So therefore, this contract is also not good for the owners or the clients. The cost plus fixed fee with the guaranteed maximum cost, as we discussed before, contract adds some of the risks of a fixed price contract to the cost reimbursement contract, because the contractor guarantees that the total contract price will not exceed the specified amount. So as I have just seen before, if for a $100,000 contract, the guaranteed maximum price is $120,000. So if the cost increases to more than $125,000, so the contractor will only get that $125,000 plus the fixed fee. The contractor will not get like $125,000 plus the fixed fee. So the contractor will risk losing the fee if the cost increases too much. Okay, so this type of contract provides some kind of assurance to the owner that the cost will not increase more than the certain amount. So hence it is to be expected that the contractor's fee for this type of contract will be increased. Hence it is to be expected that the contractor's fee for this type of contract will be increased to compensate for the added risk involved. So the cost plus incentive fee contract is designed to provide an incentive for reducing the project cost. In this type of contract, the contractor's nominal or target fee is adjusted upward or downward in a specified manner according to the final project cost. So as I have explained it very briefly in the previous example, say for example, if there is an incentive, then that means $100,000. Then was the normal cost. Then in the end, there was a saving of say $10,000. So out of that saving of $10,000, maybe $5,000 saving will go to the contractor. The $5,000 saving will go to the owner. So in that situation, both contractor and the owner may be very maybe in a good position, as they may be, both of them may be sharing the cost, and then this type of contract may be useful for both parties. Similarly, the cost plus incentive fee can be also be tied up with the guaranteed maximum price as well. Okay, so although it has not been mentioned over here. So these are the cost plus contracts. So remember that the basic difference between the cost plus and the fixed price contract is that in the fixed price contract, the pricing is not the cost. The pricing includes the cost. The pricing includes everything, cost plus fee. But in the cost plus contract, so the contract, the owner will have to pay for the cost as well as the fee separately. In the fixed price contracts, the contractor will, the owner will normally pay a lump sum amount that will include both the cost and the fixed fee without any mentioning about what is this much is the cost, this much is the fee. This is the major difference between these two main types of contracts by the pricing. Okay, so thus the contractor is rewarded by an increased fee if able to complete the project at a cost lower than the original estimate. So this is for the cost plus incentive fee contract. So all cost type contracts should clearly define the items of cost for which the contractor will be reimbursed and specify the basis for determining the acceptability of the cost. Of course, it is easier said than doing. The cost type contracts, although they are very attractive to calculate and then followed upon, but for their implementation, we should have the idea about which items for which we are calculating the costs. Okay, so clearly define a clear definition of the items of the cost and what items will be reimbursed should be specified into the contract. Okay, so this was about the types of the contracts. Now let's talk about the contract documents. So a construction contract consists of the following documents: an agreement, conditions of the contract, usually the general conditions and the special conditions, plans, specifications, and okay, so these are the documents. So let's look at these documents one by one. So the agreement describes the work to be performed, the required completion time, contract sum, provisions for progress payment, and the final payment, and lists the other documents making up the complete contract. Remember that often we take these two terms, contract and the agreement, as same meaning. But the thing is that the contract is a much broader term than the agreement. So agreement is just a document in which main features of the contract are identified. So what is the contract sum, what is the completion time, and what are the main works which are performed, what is the scope of the work, what is the objective of the work, and what is the provision of the progress payments, at what intervals the payments will be made. And it lists, and most importantly, it lists the other document making up the complete contract. So the agreement must list that these are the documents, these are the drawings, these are the specifications which are included into the contract. Okay, so agreement is a kind of like the governing document, okay, main governing document for the overall description of the project. Okay, so therefore you should understand that there is a difference between the contract and the agreement. So contract is not the agreement, but whether contract includes agreement, conditions of the contract, plans, and specifications. Okay, so this is the difference between the contract and the documents, contract and the agreements. Again, the time has been finished, so therefore I can stop at this time, and then we will try to finish this topic later on.